Hello, Aquarius. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Morgan Greer Tarot, old deck I've had for a long time. Supportive Oracle cards. You Are Clairvoyant Oracle cards by Belinda Grace. Illustrations by Elaine Marzin. That way you can see how to spell their names if you'd like to find anything else those people are connected with. Whew, okay, Aquarius. Like, there's a jump of energy, so I'm already wondering what's going on here. Like, I don't know. There's a jump of energy. I feel that. There's like a big change. I've noticed this with a lot of readings. I'm just now noticing. Like the World card, and like there's, I don't know, I'm starting to be curious. Now that I'm doing the last one, like yours is the last one I'm recording, even though I released them all at the same time. Yours is literally the last one I'm doing today. And the World card keeps showing up, I'm noticing. So maybe we're going into a phase shift or some type of shift into a different situation. Maybe a lot of us are. I'm just guessing. I don't want to like put unrealistic expectations on things. But it gets rough before it gets better. I'm noticing that with a lot of people too. Going into the situation, you got passion and trust. In the environment, there's integrity. So, one thing that Aquarius really does value is knowing the truth and having the proof that it is the truth. So what do we mean by that? So in other words, you'll do the work if necessary to kind of mess with people. I don't know how that sounds. To make sure that they're not just telling you a song and dance here. If that's how they really feel, you'll get them to tell you a few different ways, and you'll just be kind of like fact checking. Like, all right, you told me that was blue. So later you ask them again and they're like, oh, it's kind of like a sky color. And then you get them to ask you again later and they're like, yeah, it's kind of like, kind of like the water looks down in the Caribbean, like that color, like that blue color. Like they're telling you it's the same thing, but they're telling you in different ways and you're getting them to tell you the same thing in different ways. That's how you're kind of fact checking. Like if that's really what they mean or really what they have, they should be able to answer this question in a different way without much of a challenge. If it's the truth, and that's what you're pulling from them, and that's the passion with the trust. Like you're just asking the same question in different ways and getting pretty much the same answer. That's showing the integrity because you're like, okay, well, you're giving me pretty much the same answer no matter which way I ask this question. So I feel like I can trust that you're telling me the honest truth of what's going on here. We're all good. This seems to be a good way to start for you. I got Threshold, Knight of Cups, Two of Cups going into the next. With the truth that you've gained, you have a lot of confidence with this energy. Whoever you're dealing with, whatever you're dealing with, takes you into the next part. You got a plan to work out things. All right, this is what we're dealing with. This is how it's working. This is what I got to do with it. You're working with, like, I don't think it's the same thing. It's like you got information from one spot and you're applying it somewhere else. You're using that information in a certain way because you've verified it to a point where you're comfortable with it. So you're making that plan, you're moving it forward, and you're very good with it. You're explaining it to others, because the thing is about Aquarius, if you want somebody to understand something, you can adapt to their terms or their language. You can adapt to their language. If you want somebody to be confused, you can do that too. But that's the thing about Aquarius. If you want somebody to understand you, you can absorb how they communicate and understand what words make sense to them, and you can relate that information as you need to get the maximum impact. And I feel like you're doing that here, and you're making sense to people, you're getting them on your side, you want them to understand, you want them to get it, and you're kind of like, I'm going to tailor my words to your needs so you hear me and you follow what I tell you to follow and you understand why you need to. And you're explaining that very well. Now, I think that's a natural thing with Aquarius, but let me know in the comments below if that's more of an evolved thing. Because I think that's like the gift of Aquarius too. Kind of like, I see how somebody's communicating. I know what I need to do if I want to relate that. If you choose to, like if you have to choose to do it, and I get that, but in this situation you are like it's not just something that naturally happens. You choose to. That's what I'm getting. Which I feel like you might be able to argue, like, isn't that true for most people if they choose to? No. Some people think they're choosing to work on somebody else's terms and they're actually still working on their own. Or they think they're choosing to talk in somebody else's language the way they think they want to talk, but they can't really do it. But Aquarius seems to be able to do it. That's what I'm getting with that, just in case I'm splitting hairs with that, which I probably am. As we keep going forward, see, the world is trying to come forward, and that's the new phase. It's trying to come forward. Now, you're having to kind of work with people. You have to get people to kind of back down. The Empress with the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords is a block, but I'm getting what you're trying to do is you're trying to get people to stop. You're like, not yet. You're like, not yet. Not yet. Hold up. Not yet. And you have to keep explaining to people, you don't want to do that right now, and this is why you don't want to do that. No, you don't want to do that right now, and this is why you don't. No, you don't want to do that right now, and this is why you don't want to. You have to keep doing it. You explain. There's something you're constantly explaining. I feel like you're constantly explaining it, and it's a little bit I don't want to say nauseating. What do I want to say? Annoying, infuriating. You might cycle a few different emotions through this. But you got health with Ascended Masters, kind of like you're not letting it get under your skin to the point where you're expressing that. Like it's something you keep having to explain something, and it is getting on your nerves. All right, so it is, but you're not expressing that because you're like, I can't express that right now. And you want to, but you're like, no, wait, not right now, but maybe later. But maybe later. It's kind of what I'm feeling with that. Like right now, I'm not going to express that this is getting on my nerves, but when the moment comes, it might just happen. And you're getting people to, oh, no, not yet. You're getting people to hold off, but it's temporary. But that's the Two of Swords. It's like a block. You're blocking the water. You're putting that dam up. You're like, no, not yet. And they're walking away and they're waiting. But they're waiting. The Seven of Swords with the Temperance is kind of like they're waiting. They're waiting. They're chomping at the bit. They want to move forward. They're chomping at the bit. But they're waiting. You're convincing them to wait. You're doing your best with that. They do trust you. They seem to think you have their best interest at heart. Seems like for most of you that's true. You know whether that's true or not. That's not even debatable. In this situation, if it's hitting for you, you know how you feel about this person, these people. You know how you feel. So it doesn't matter what I say about it. You know how you feel. That's what I'm getting. So, but I'm telling you, the other side does feel like you have their best interest at heart. They do trust you with that. They got love and they've got messages. And they should be showing you that adoration because you're working with them, and I feel a few of them know that they're pushing it. Like they keep asking and they're kind of pushing their luck and they're getting away with it and they like that too. But hopefully they're smart enough to realize that only goes so far. Like they're kind of pushing it. But they're waiting, they're holding back, they're doing what you want. Sooner or later though, this will move forward. The World card is coming forward, and like the openness is that block being let loose. At some point you're going to have to release that block. You're going to know when you need to do that. And that's a combination of like it's time to let it go versus if I hold on too much longer, it's just going to bust open anyway. So it's kind of like, do you open the door and let somebody in, or do you have them kick it open and then you have to fix it so that it can shut properly again afterwards? So you got to balance it, kind of like I got to try to keep this door shut as long as I can, and then I have to kind of balance it. Is it time to open it versus is somebody going to bust it open? And if they bust it open, then I have to fix it. So I want to open it before somebody kicks it open and I have to frickin' fix it anyway. So you're dealing with it. I feel like when it finally does open and the world comes through that door, it's fine. Like when you're going to realize when you have to open it, it's going to be like, well, I don't know if it's ideally the best time, but it'll work. that's kind of when I feel you're opening the door. Like, I don't know if this is the best time. I'd like to keep it shut a little bit longer. I'd like to keep that block in place a little longer, but it's getting too much and somebody's about to kick it open anyway. So here, just open the door. Here we go. Let's just see how it goes. Let's see how it flies. And you do that. When the door opens and the world comes through it and the next phase comes through, I'm getting there's a lot of questions I'm noticing here. Finding a mentor, meditation, the King of Swords, the Two of Wands. There's a lot coming in here that's making me feel like this. In the environment, finding a mentor and meditation, like that's to me people like trying to figure out things. Trying to find somebody to tell them the answers, trying to find somebody to teach them what happens next. Thinking about it is the meditation, trying to figure out what to do next, where to go with this, how to handle it. There's a lot here that people are trying to figure out. Ironically, you also have that energy on your side. You ask the questions, you know how to ask the questions. All right, this seems right, but it's kind of like you get information from one source, but then you test it against another source. And then you try to get it from another source, and then you test that information too. You keep testing the information, and that's important in this situation. Keep testing it, and then that's where you get the prosperity. You're asking questions so you can test the information. Because you're testing the information, that's where the prosperity is coming in. From there, you have to make new decisions, constant trying to get more information, constantly moving forward. The situation, whatever this is, once the block is lifted, it doesn't seem like there's ever a spot where it's just like, well, we know what's going on here. The King of Swords with the Ten of Pentacles is telling me it does stabilize, and it stabilized pretty dependably. It does, but there's still always questions left over. The questions you have to keep asking the questions. The questions, I swear to you, feel like they're never ending. Maybe that's normal. I don't know. But I'm getting this will stabilize, but it stabilizes as much as it can. How's that? I'm also getting like the more you're asking questions, the more stable this moment will be. The more you're testing these answers, the more stable this will be. So you're very much helping this stabilize later because you got to keep asking the questions and testing those answers. And that's where this better outcome comes from. That's where this Ten of Pentacles comes and the situation does restabilize. But again, asking questions, testing information. Asking questions, testing information. I feel like you're good for that though. So I feel like they're just saying where you're going with this. This isn't going to be the time where you can kind of let your inhibitions go and you can kind of vent off on people. Because I feel there's a lot of you are going to be so fed up at this point that you're going to want to like start giving people their own medicine back. This isn't going to be the time for that. I mean, it will happen sooner or later because it's just the natural energy there where you're just going to kind of let people know what you're thinking and you're just going to give it back to them. But this isn't the time for that. You're having a very, very good effect with your analytical abilities. Ask the right questions, test the information. Ask the right questions. This is one of those weird spots, and I know this is not going to be a popular thing to say, but I'm sorry, but sometimes there are stupid questions. I'm sorry, but there literally are. Like, when you ask somebody, like, if you smack them in the face and you ask them if that hurt, I think that's a stupid question. I'm sorry, I'm one of those people. The reason you're in this position to ask these questions because you are ahead of the game, and you're just kind of like, we're not going to ask the wasted question. Is the sun going to come up tomorrow? More than likely, yeah. And quite frankly, if it doesn't, you're probably not going to be around to know the difference anyway. That's another stupid question in my opinion. Is the sun going to rise tomorrow? Probably. And if it doesn't, you're probably not going to be in a place to worry about it anyway. So don't worry about it. That's what I'm saying. You ask the smart questions, kind of like, all right, instead of asking, will the sun rise tomorrow, you're asking, when the sun rises tomorrow, are we going to be able to feed ourselves? Are we going to have the ability to create a better tomorrow? Those are the questions you're asking. That's what you're needed for in this part of the situation. I know that's not popular for people who'd be like, there's no dumb questions. I'm sorry, I think there is. So, I'm one of those. I think we're good here. Anything else? I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.